All right, Fatima, if you can unmute, we will go live.
Okay.
Excellent. Let me spotlight your video there. Well, good morning, everybody. Where else would you rather be than a Zoom full of Penn Staters? I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, and I want to welcome you to the Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. Each week on Coffee Hour, you can expect to hear the voices of Penn Staters talking about what they're passionate about. And you can expect to feel the power of the Penn State network and Penn State pride. We are recording this session and we'll be editing it and sharing it with other Penn Staters and hope that it provides them with the inspiration that we are going to have today with our guest. Today, I'm joined by Fatima Odebisi. She is the president of the Penn State Student Black Caucus. Welcome to the show, Fatima.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the Student Black Caucus. For Penn Staters that might not be familiar with the organization, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Black Caucus is one of the oldest Black organizations on campus outside of Black Greek life. So basically what we do is we umbrella all the Black undergraduate organizations. So we represent them. We have a council for them to come as a delegate to, and we converse back and forth. We talk about issues in the community, but we also collaborate. So essentially what you would look for as like a representative voice in a sense for Black students as an org, it's Black Caucus. So our main job is to look out for the welfare of students, not only academically, but socially. We have a history of activism on campus where we're fighting for Black students' rights. So that's in the gist of what we do.
Sure. And how did you get involved with the caucus?
Actually, the involvement fair, my freshman year, I was walking and this girl tapped me on the arm and kind of pulled me over. She's like, "You should come over here." And I was like, being like a first year student, I was like, sure, why not? Because I was willing to learn about anything at that point. And she like gave me the whole spiel of Black Caucus and the history. And I love that so much of it was based on communicating with your peers and dialogue, because we have weekly dialogues every week called Sankofa. So I found that extremely intriguing. So I went to my first Sankofa discussion and I found it so cool that I was sitting in this room with like all these seniors and just picking their brains about different topics related to Penn State and just life. So I was extremely intrigued, so I stayed.
Absolutely. And then talk a little bit about your growth within the program and you became vice president and now president of the caucus. Talk about your growth as a leader within the organization.
Absolutely. It was really interesting. The time that I came into Black Caucus, they were in a bit of a transitioning period. So their general body was very concentrated to people who cared the absolute most, but there was a really high potential for people to get to know the caucus and kind of get rejoined or rededicated to the student org. So myself and a few other freshmen at the time really kind of took the reins on doing most of the chair positions the second semester of our freshman year. And we really just started to go all in with it in a sense. Then by the time the end of the year came, it was time to elect a new president and vice president. I would like to say it was a bit of a no-brainer for myself and then the president that was elected at that time, Danielle Tapanto, because we dedicated so much time into trying to revamp the org. So my freshman year, and I believe that her and I are the two youngest pair of vice presidents and presidents for Black Caucus because we were both sophomores at the time. So we did that as sophomores, then as juniors, we were both vice president and president. And then this year, she stepped down and I became president, and then she supported our org as a general body member. So it's been really amazing to see the development of the org, and I definitely think that I look at the journey of things more. Being in Black Caucus for so long, it was really easy to kind of stay stagnant in the tradition of it and be like, okay, we have our weekly Sankofas, we have the Ashe Awards at the end of fall semester, but this really challenged me to kind of push the limit on tradition and find new traditions to add to Black Caucus. So I'm really proud of it.
Yeah, when we recently connected, I think I mentioned to you how I've kind of admired from afar how you pursued your agenda in such a persistent and yet diplomatic way. I'm going to read a quote to you. So last year, the Collegian wrote, in its second meeting of the year, Fatima Odebisi from the Black Caucus became a catalyst for what would be a weeks-long debate when she spoke about healing the relationship between Black Caucus and UPUA. So the article was in reference to the SBC's quest for representation on UPUA. In the end, your diplomacy won the day and you gained the seat. Talk about that process and one, how long that process was, and ultimately why you think you all were successful in that campaign and pushing that agenda.
I definitely believe that. Well, the push for seats didn't start with me. It started a couple years ago.
Right.
But it kind of gotten lost in like the hecticness of trying to be a student and go to classes and run student orgs. And my sophomore year, I believe, we kind of started to revisit it. And then junior year, we really decided to pursue it in its heaviest form. Going to that first open forum, I remember prior to, someone had texted me and they're like, hey, how are the seats going? And I was like, they're not going. Which is disappointing not only for our relationship with UPUA, but I was also disappointed in myself at the time because I had been in my position or been in executive board for Black Caucus for 2 years at that point, and we hadn't accomplished that goal. So I kind of stepped out of my comfort zone and went to open forum, and I had never been to UPUA's open forum before. And I'm definitely someone who appreciates doing background work. I used to want to be a motivational speaker, then I realized I needed to experience more of life to motivate people. So I was never really extremely that person who liked to go up and call something out, but I realized in that moment that it was my duty to Black Caucus to be an effective vice president, to go there. So I was definitely uncomfortable, but it was very necessary to reach the goal. So I would do it 20 times again if I had to. And it definitely was a very long process. I was surprised that people took it so seriously. And I think that's why I was okay going back to open forum at the end of the process, because it was so well received in the first. I was really surprised how much people started to reach out to me, and that people weren't opposed to it. They just wanted to learn more about why it was necessary. And I think the key thing with the caucus, the seats, and the whole debate behind them, I don't think anyone was ever against the representation. I think that they were getting used to a new tradition in UPUA of having multicultural seats. And I believe in a Collegian article, someone had asked me, why do you think it's necessary? Or like, how would you liken this to real life? And I say, well, Black Caucus, Penn State Student Black Caucus, we model ourselves after Congressional Black Caucus. That's why we changed our name. So we started out as the Frederick Douglass Association, then became Black Student Union. And because we focus a lot of our work on activism and advocacy, we changed our name to Penn State Student Black Caucus to align ourselves with Black Caucus more. So I just said, if in a regular like House of Representatives or government body, you would find Black Caucus there, why aren't you finding Black Caucus in UPUA? So I was really lucky that the leadership in UPUA at the time was really willing to hear not only me out, but people who had my perspective out. And it was a long process and it took a lot of energy, but I'm very happy with the result.
Yeah, a lot of times when you're going through something like this, right, you have to have somebody. I don't want to say that there were sides on this, right, but you have to have somebody on the other side that's kind of a partner willing to work with you. In this experience, who was that partner for you?
I would definitely, Cody Heaton, the president of UPUA at that time, and Laura McKinney, who was the vice president, they were both really willing to hear my perspective. I remember after my first time going during the breakout session in the middle, Laura like came up to me and she was like, I want to thank you so much for coming. It's really essential that we're having this discussion and like pushing this assembly forward. So that was really nice for me that I spoke about making that relationship better, and the both of them seemed very ready to have that conversation in their assembly, because if they weren't ready to have that conversation in their assembly, it would have been pushed to the next So we were really lucky to kind of catch the assembly at a really good time. And the assembly was also very diverse at that moment. I was really lucky that three active members of Black Caucus were representatives in UPUA at the time. So I was able to talk to them more and understand UPUA. That way I wasn't going completely blind to the situation. I can't say I knew their limits, but I was generally aware of their limits and what they could do. And I was lucky that I also somewhat understood parliamentary procedure and how they follow it. So people helped educate me so I could help educate the debate in the room.
Yeah, when I look at leaders, I think some of the best leaders are those who lead others through change in a way that is kind of the least painful for everybody involved. And it seems like you spent a lot of time thinking about how to bring others along with this change, because I think that's how you described it earlier. It was just a change in tradition, right? And just doing things and looking at it in a different way. And certainly you were able to be that kind of leader through this process. So this is the Penn State Alumni Association's Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford, and I'm joined by Fatima Odebisi. She is the president of Penn State Student Black Caucus. So now that your service has forever changed Penn State, let's start right at the very beginning of your Penn State story. How did you become a Penn Stater?
Penn State was not actually my first choice. I actually wanted to go to Indiana University of Pennsylvania, and I didn't necessarily care deeply about their programs. I wanted to go there because my sister had went there and on a visit. And mind you, I made this decision probably as like a freshman in high school. They had a Cece's pizza buffet, and I thought it was like the coolest thing because pizza, pasta, and salad was my favorite food at the time. So I was like, I'm going to IUP because they have a Cece's pizza and they have heated sidewalks. Like, I thought it was the most futuristic school on earth.
Okay.
So I applied there, and I got in very, very quickly. And then I applied to a few other schools, and I was like, why not apply to Penn State? I never really fully realized that my father also went to Penn State for his master's. That's something that kind of didn't really click with me heavily maybe until last year. But I was like, why not apply to Penn State just because, like, it's Penn State?
Right.
So I applied, and it was the school that made me wait the longest for my acceptance letter. And I think I really liked the chase of that. And I was extremely intrigued by it. So I looked up more, and I actually accepted without ever seeing or visiting the campus. I found like a virtual tour online, and I was like, oh, this seems like cool, I guess. And they seem to have a lot of resources, and I think the resources is also something that really like intrigued me because I enjoy research. So I was like, okay, like good research capabilities, and I think they might have heated sidewalks too, and they don't have a Cece's, but the food looks pretty good. So I committed to coming to Penn State, and I got here, and I lived in East in Tenor, which is now newly renovated. So sad to hear that I lived in the old version, but also it was definitely cool living in a traditional dorm, an experience that some people won't ever get with so many dorms changing. But I was really lucky that I had a really good roommate. Shout out to Grace. She was so nice, and she would definitely take me places that I never really saw myself going. But that first year was definitely really good because it cemented why I really liked Penn State. I think I came based on a lot of potential and possibility, which I think a lot of people come to Penn State for that. Right. But I was lucky that that was cemented for me within my first semester.
Absolutely. So, as I think about, in addition to your leadership roles in the Student Black Caucus, it seems like you have a passion for mentoring, serving as a blueprint mentor, and also as a literacy mentor at the Hortwoods Child Care Center. So talk a little bit about those experiences and why giving back like that is so important to you.
Yeah, I definitely believe that giving back and volunteerism should be something that you ingrain into your life. Being a blueprint mentor, and blueprint is one of the reasons why I felt so cemented in coming to Penn State, because it revealed to me organizations that get so many resources that they have a lot of capabilities for the students that they serve. So in all the colleges I looked at, there wasn't a program as well funded, but also the need for more fun, and that cared so much about their general body. because IUP didn't have that. And I think that's one of the reasons why Penn State definitely sticks out wonderfully to me. But joining Blueprint as a mentee, I was very lucky. So essentially, you get paired with a mentor, but you and your mentor pairing also get put into a family of about, I want to say 8 other mentor pairs. So you're given basically like this home base to come back to. And I think that's so important. So I had a really positive experience with that. So then I became a mentor the following year, and I've been really lucky to be a mentor for 3 years, and then I'm leaving the Blueprint program because I'm graduating. But it's not only does it give you that mentorship with a person, it also gives you the possibility of having constant chances to volunteer off campus, which kind of spreads that Penn State mission other places. So you're going somewhere and you're thinking, oh, like that's that org from Penn State that's doing this volunteerism. And I remember they take their students on a free spring break trip. It's week long. They pay for all the meals, but it's all centered around a theme, volunteerism, and education. So we went to all these museums, but we also went to a school where doing an activity with kids and having them critical think. So Blueprint has definitely heavily cemented that. As for Hort Wood, it was my first job on campus, and I was so lucky to keep that job. So essentially, I work in Hort Wood Child Care Center, which is right behind Forum, and it's actually through the community service program that's ran out of Shields. And that's another reason why I really like Penn State, because essentially I'm getting paid to volunteer, and I'd much rather volunteer than have a job. So I was lucky that I was able to find a job that pays me to volunteer somewhere. Right. So I go in there, shout out to Nature's Edge, that's my program, my classroom that I work in. But I get to go in there, read with the kids, expose them to different things. I'm really lucky that the teachers in my classroom are so open to me teaching the kids about things that I care heavily about. And it's so interesting seeing how the classroom mimics Penn State. Like it's almost like a smaller version of Penn State. Right. Like there's all these diverse kids. They speak multiple languages. They're so intrigued on getting to learn new things. And I remember we did an art project with them that to me seemed so advanced, but they were so ready to jump into it. So being able to teach 3 to 5-year-olds about diversity and all in and break all in down for them so that it was tangible for them was really, really nice.
That's amazing. So, it's one of my early mentors, was so instrumental in my life. And I said, how can I ever pay you back? And his response is something that's stuck with me. It's do what I've done for you for others. And it's be a mentor to others, right? And so who were those people that have mentored you along the way?
Specifically talking about college, Dr. Tamika Townsell, who's both in communications and African American studies, I believe. Though I never voiced to her, and this is why I'm trying not to be a what if person anymore. So I wrote her a letter, and she'll be getting it in an email soon after this, probably once I graduate. But I had a class with her for African American studies, the African American woman. And being an African American woman, also from a predominantly white town, her class really opened me up to critically think about my existence in a sense. And she was so willing to help us outside the classroom. So she had said at the end of the semester, because we were talking about wage disparities, she's like, if any of you need help learning how to advocate for yourself to get the proper pay for your first job, please let me know and reach out to me and I can help you through that. And that was so amazing to me because I'd never seen someone just so openly be like, you deserve better and I'm here to help you. So seeing her do that, I was just completely in awe of her. So I had another class with her the next semester. And then I had a communications class with her for Com 411, which is cultural aspects of mass media. And again, I was able to see this Black woman in a field that I want to go to, communications, that just seems so ready to change communications in the way that I want to change it. So seeing the way that she put herself out there was definitely so inspiring for me. And I'll also say one of my mentors, and they kind of go hand in hand because I think they're both so amazing, is Dr. Anne-Marie Mingo and Dr. Stephanie Danette Preston. And Dr. Preston works for the grad school at Penn State, and Dr. Mingo is with African American Studies. But both of those women, again, were two women who I just found so amazing. They were so steadfast in who they were, but so ready to learn and change and help people. And I remember Dr. Mingo left, I believe, to finish some work and research, and then she came back my junior year, and she still remembered me. She was still like, how are you doing in this past year? Like, I hope you're doing well. I've missed you. And Dr. Preston, on the other hand of that, was always so ready to push me to learn and do things. And I remember one of the first volunteer type things that I did at Penn State was helping with a program that she was running to serve food. And it wasn't that big of a deal, but she remembered my face from doing that. And like, I guess just like the validation that these women instilled in me really just pushed me forward through Penn State, even when I had like tough times, and it made me want to help other women as well.
That's amazing. So this is the Penn State Alumni Association Coffee Hour. I'm Paul Clifford, CEO of the Penn State Alumni Association, and I'm with the President of Student Black Caucus, Fatima Odebisi. So let's talk about COVID-19 and where you were when you learned that Penn State was going to go to remote learning and that your semester was going to end in an unscripted way. Talk us through all of that.
So I was in Las Vegas, which is definitely the last place I thought I would be hearing that news. So for spring break, me and a few of my friends went there, and I was staying with my sister. And I remember we were sitting in her apartment, and I saw an email from Penn State, and I was like, oh, like, why are they emailing now? But I also felt something coming, like in the air for a while. So I was like, is this that email? So I remember opening it up and being like, okay, like the first thing that popped into my head was, you have to go home. Like that was the first sentence that came in. And I'm very lucky that my home life is somewhere where I'm comfortable and I have internet access and I have resources. I feel safe. So I'm very lucky in that aspect. And I kept thinking about people who didn't have that privilege, who couldn't go back home to something healthy for them. So that was kind of the first thing that popped into my mind. And then I was like, oh my goodness, all of your stuff is in your room. So I'm an RA on campus, and I've made my dorm on campus extremely comfortable for me, but that also means that I've removed so many things from my permanent home. So I was like, all of your belongings are in your dorm, and I don't think you're gonna make it back to get them. So I quickly like did an inventory of the stuff I had in my house, the stuff I had at spring break, and like what I would need. And it was just at a level that I was comfortable with. I was really lucky that I brought my laptop to spring break because I originally wasn't. So if I didn't, I probably wouldn't have a laptop at the time for at least the first few weeks of social distancing. And then I just started to kind of spiral and think, okay, well, what about looking for jobs after graduation? What about walking at graduation? And then the last thing that popped into my head was, you're not having that time to say your goodbyes. And I said this earlier, I really have been trying to not be a person that says what if a lot, because I was very often. In this past year, I really tried to stay firm to saying what's in my heart and on my mind and speaking my truth in a sense. And people kind of chuckle when I say that, but this year for me was a year of reclaiming my time in a sense. I wasn't having what ifs, and this has left a huge what if for me. And it's forced me into a little bit of an uncomfortability, but I think that's healthy. So I just kind of, at the end, I was like, all right, so you worked these 3.67 or however long years to get to this time after spring break to be a senior. And I've taken more credits than I needed to get to this time. And this semester I was taking like 12 credits. I had no class on Fridays. I was like, oh, this is perfect recipe to be able to sit on the lawn and like do fun stuff on Fridays. So not having that time, I started to feel a little bitter. But then after going through a bit of a 5 stages of grief with it, I was definitely angry for a period of time. I've definitely moved into an acceptance phase. And I'm like, there's nothing I can do to control the situation. It was really nobody's fault. And I can't be mad at anyone for the situation that we're in, because I'd much rather everyone be safe.
Absolutely. You know what I was struck by, and I'm going to share my screen here, is kind of your caring for others during this. Are you there?
Mhm.
Okay. You're caring for others during this time period, and I'm not sure if you could see my screen.
I see a white screen right now.
All right, let me try that one more time. Um, so hopefully you could see the video,
Mhm.
and I'm just going to play this a video that you cut that really shows the leader that you are and how you put others first.
Hi, I'm Fatima Odebisi, the President of Penn State Student Black Caucus. I hope you're all practicing social distancing and finding ways to self-care during this time. Remember not to be too hard on yourself and that it is okay to not be okay. But most importantly, find small victories in every day and remember that we will get through this. For me, staying at home and not returning to state college can be really difficult, but it gives the people I care about and my community time to heal. Now more than ever is a crucial time for healing and thinking about your impact on the people around you. You have the power to change people's day. Check in on a friend and let them know you're here for them. Make them smile with a funny story or just be a listening ear. It is amazing how making someone smile can shift your entire mood. Remember your support systems are here for you and, of course, that we are Penn State.
Such a powerful message.
Thank you. I was really lucky that I was able to be involved in that messaging, that peer-to-peer messaging from student affairs. And the one line that I said there, now more than ever, is something that Black Caucus says on a weekly basis, echoing the sentiment from the village protests that were held on campus in the early 2000s. And it's from a poem by Gil Scott-Heron, the poet. And it says, now more than ever, and then you repeat, now more than ever, all the brothers and sisters must come together. And then it says, now more than ever, now more than ever. And then it basically is calling everyone to care for one another and look at your surroundings and realizing that you have people who are there for you, but it's a time of critical thinking and almost a time of crisis where you need to come together with one another and be there for one another. So it's been really interesting to hear people say that phrase, now more than ever, without knowing that poem and without maybe fully realizing the entire context of it, because that's something that Black Caucus says on a weekly basis. And I feel like it's being called to action right now with COVID-19.
Absolutely. So you alluded to this, but talk a little bit about what you're going to do after you graduate from Penn State.
It's definitely so interesting because I had a more firmer plan of what I thought I would do. But with this whole situation, my first goal is to get through graduation day, be happy that I'm a graduate from Penn State and realize and recognize the privilege and the beauty in that, completing my 4 years and knowing that my degree is in the mail to me. Directly after that, I'm still applying for jobs, but I understand with COVID-19, most things are on a hiring freeze. So I'm not necessarily upset about that because I realize it's kind of just the state of things. But I'm still actively pursuing that because, again, I don't want to be a what if. I still want to show the initiative of doing those applications and showing those companies that I still care. But directly after that, first things first, I've already agreed with my brother that I'm getting Red Robin as my graduation meal. So Red Robin to go. But I'm just kind of trying to continue learning. Even though I'm at home and I'm confined to my home with social distancing, I keep trying to convince myself that even though I'm social distance, I'm not isolated. And I'm not necessarily quarantined either because I'm healthy. So I'm trying to continue learning things. So I found this Photoshop 6-week program thing that I might do because I want to start to gain more skills and more of those skills that I wasn't necessarily able to take a class on, but would definitely help me in my career and also help me learn. So I've started to look into things to kind of forward my education in small steps while we get through this red phase in a sense of COVID-19 and start to move to a yellow or green. So I found some books that I've always wanted to read, and I have a little Barnes & Noble's cart. So on graduation day, I'm clicking buy, and that's my graduation gift to myself. So just trying to continue my education in some way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, you know, that attitude's going to serve you well throughout the rest of your life. It's a, you know, learning doesn't stop when you stop going to school. It's a lifelong process. And that's going to serve you well in everything you do moving forward. So, all right, we're going to have some fun right now. Okay. So we're going to do what we call a lightning round. And I'm just going to throw some things out, and you just say the first thing that comes to mind, okay? All right, so the first thing is Sheets or Wawa?
Sheets.
Okay. Your favorite spot on campus?
Oh my gosh. On campus, like
Yeah.
in the campus vicinity?
Yeah.
The PRCC, the Paul Robeson Cultural Center.
Okay. How about TikTok or Snapchat?
Snapchat.
Okay, now you mentioned CC's earlier, but I'm going to ask, what's your favorite pizza place in State College?
Snap.
Snap, okay. Netflix or Hulu?
Hulu.
Hulu. Your favorite Penn State sport?
Hockey.
Hockey, okay.
Yeah.
And the library or the hub?
Hub.
Hub. And your favorite creamery ice cream flavor?
This is actually really funny because my favorite flavor is Birthday Bash, but
Okay.
I don't know if it exists anymore. I haven't seen it since freshman year, so, but it's still my ride or die flavor. It's so good.
Well, I think Birthday Bash exists. I think it's one of those seasonal flavors that they mix in, and so yeah, I think it's something that the creamery does to mess with us, to make sure that we go back frequently to see what flavors are being offered. And so yeah, but Birthday Bash is definitely a good one. So how about some word association? When I say the Nittany Lion, what do you think of?
Friendly.
When I say UPUA?
The first word that popped into my mind is Laura.
Yeah.
Just because Laura McKinney, but yeah.
Just shout out to Laura. I think she's on the Zoom right now. A past guest on Coffee Hour. How about Student Black Caucus?
Pride.
For the Glory.
Growth.
The Class of 2020.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we are
Penn State.
Well, Fatima, I want to thank you for joining us on Coffee Hour. We have some folks who are joining us that I know have some questions for you. And so if people have a question, you could go ahead and just raise your hand using the reactions button down at the bottom. Or I see Jeff Ballou has raised his hand already in the participants button. So let's go first to Jeff Ballou with a question for Fatima.
Hi, Fatima. Congratulations on your forthcoming graduation.
Thank you.
You're a fellow Belisario college person.
Yes.
Yay. and you minored in African American studies. I picked up on that.
Yes.
Which is, and I majored in journalism and minored in African American studies in one of my time before it was Belisario. So what do you want? So Paul hinted at this. What do you want to do next? You know, this is the sky's the limit to an alumnus.
I had to learn, I guess, more positions that applied to what I want to do. But essentially, I want to work in branding to show the value of the Black dollar in a sense, to different brands. It's really interesting. And again, shout out to Dr. Townsell. She had us read these articles that showed that Black people actually lead market choices. So oftentimes what you'll find, and not only Black people, but Black women, because Black women are more so the breadwinners of homes. So when you look at the buying habits of a Black woman, you can often predict what other people are going to buy within the next month or so. And that was just so fascinating to me. So I want to work with brands, helping them be more culturally competent and understanding their messaging. That way you don't have products that come out that are blatantly racist or sexist or homophobic, because you have someone on your team that has an understanding not only of communications, but African American studies. And that also goes into my two other minors, which are sociology and digital media trends and analytics, because I wanted to be able to show that I can also research these things. And the digital media trends and analytics definitely helped me with that. It's a newer minor, but I think it was very well developed. So just being able to show that value to brands and be, I guess, that voice in the room, because I feel like that voice in the room wasn't there a lot of times with communications for brands.
Let's follow up offline so we can connect.
Absolutely.
Connect you and see what we can do for you.
Excellent. Next question is all the way from London, England, with Trustee Brandon Short. Brandon, go ahead with your question.
Tina, first, I just want to tell you how proud I am of you. After getting to know you and hearing about your Penn State journey, I wanted to thank you for all of your service to Penn State, not only for your dynamic leadership at Black Caucus, but for your passion to give back. That is the Penn State spirit and your passion for mentorship. I know that I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the village that helped to raise me, and the fact that you understand that at this early age shows that the sky is the limit for your future in leadership. In terms of your challenge with representation in student government, this is a point that I would like to catch up with you offline about, to discuss ways that the board can be more helpful. Just to give you an idea of the challenges that you're facing are similar challenges that we also face at a board level. Underrepresentation of minority groups or underrepresented groups at the board levels, at the board of visitors at each colleges, and at the boards of all of our Commonwealth campuses. And we're working very hard to increase that representation. So that our students understand that their voices are heard, that there are people that look like them or that have a similar point of view that can come in and change a course that the university may be going on, or help people look at things from a different perspective. So these are challenges that we face at the governance level and at a student level, but the university and President Barron and Dr. Whitehurst, we're all working hard to try to bridge that gap. And after this call, I want to be able to shoot you my information, Paul. Maybe I can get the information through you, and we can touch base and begin a dialogue.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Brandon. Yeah, just shoot me an email and we'll connect the two of you.
So proud of you.
Thank you.
Great. So next question. From outside New York City, the president of the Penn State Alumni Association, Randy Houston. Randy, go ahead.
Thanks, Paul. Fatima, it's such an incredible honor to meet you. I want to echo what both Brandon and Jeff said. Incredibly proud of you, your maturity, your professionalism. You represent yourself and your family very well, but you especially represent Penn State well. So thank you for that. A lot I want to unpack with you. You're the only other person I've ever met who loves Birthday Bash. So that's big. T-Berry is my seasonal favorite, but Birthday Bash is my all-time favorite. Paul hates T-Berry, so I'm going to mention that every chance I get. But Birthday Bash, we got that going on. Another thing that I want to, I guess the real focus I want to ask you about, I know that Frederick Douglass and Black Student Union preceded Student Black Caucus, but you are very much a founder of Student Black Caucus, and Jeff Ballou, who was the first question, is an old and dear friend of mine. We co-founded SMART together more than 30 years ago. And that founder mentality is strong with us. And we've been, as I like to say, very humbled and proud to see how the legacy of that organization's continued over 30 years. What do you hope the legacy of Student Black Caucus will be, looking 10, 20, 30, 50 years ahead?
I always hope that Black Caucus is that central base for students of color when it comes to campus. And we're really lucky that we have the Paul Robeson Cultural Center, because that gives us a physical space to always meet in. But I always want Black Caucus to be that moving space and that emotional body for students to go to. So they'll always know that if I am in a minoritized group and I need that support, beyond seeking resources from the university, I know that I can go to Black Caucus. One thing that I really tried to do, not only through my presidency, but just being in Black Caucus in general, is I always tried to make myself available for students who needed to be heard. And I might not necessarily be in the room with them when they're pursuing it on an administrative level, but they know that after they have that meeting that's more formal, they can come to Black Caucus and they can talk and they can get things off their chests. Because at the end of the day, Black Caucus is supposed to be that family for people to touch back into. So I always hope that Black Caucus has that air of family to it. And I think you see that in our annual award show, because we're definitely here to always wake people up to the facts. We try not to go through campus with, in a sense, rose-colored glasses. Black Caucus tries to be very realistic about things that happen on campus, but we're also here to remind people that your college career, and particularly Penn State, is a place where you're meant to grow and have fun as well. So that annual award show, we highlight in superlative awards student achievements, and they can just be simple as best smile. Then there's cutest couple. There's an award for Penn State Pride that we renamed Proud and Present, because you have pride within yourself and you're proud that you're a student of color on campus, but you're present in the community as well. So having an award show like that and having more than 500 students come, not only Black students, but just minoritized students in general and white students, come be a family with us and have fun, I think is also really crucial, because it's very easy to focus on the heavy things on campus as a minoritized student. But having a place where you can go to for the serious things, but also have fun with, I hope that's the legacy with Black Caucus.
Fantastic. Yeah, I just, in closing, I'll just say, yeah, I don't mean this in a paternalistic or patronizing way. You're wise beyond your years, and I think, as Jeff or Brandon said, that's going to take you a really long way. So yeah, on behalf of myself and our more than 700,000 alumni, I want to congratulate you in advance on your graduation and welcome you to the Penn State alumni family.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Fatima, hopefully you're feeling the power of the Penn State network right now. I know that we have affiliate groups all over the country, so you're going to be connected with Penn Staters wherever you go. I see some representatives from the AAAO DC. I see you, Jeremy Omard. My question to you, Fatima, is what would you say to alumni that have pushed for the kinds of things that you have pushed for and have been able to accomplish? What is your message to those who came before you?
I definitely say you set such a bar and wonderful example for students like me to see going in. So one of the first things I looked up about Penn State was the alumni, because everyone talks about the alumni network, even if they didn't go to Penn State. Immediately, even when I said, oh, I'm going to go to Penn State, rather than people ask me, oh, like, what's your major? What are you going to do? They ask, are you going to join the alumni network? So knowing that it has this vast capability and seeing these alumni and being able to be on a call with the co-founders of SMART, which is an organization that I adore. And they brought one of my best friends is a previous treasurer of SMART. And she knows, like, I ride for SMART because I think they're pretty cool. But being able to look at these alumni and converse with them directly and know all their amazing feats it's just really heartwarming to know that the alumni are so engaged with the students. And I don't know, I think we're so lucky that our alumni system cares so much, almost to the point where I'm like, I have an alumni hit me up at least like maybe like twice a month for something that like they'll see on campus and like, oh, here's an article I saw or something. They're so well engaged. It really sets a really nice example for me on how to be an effective alumni of Penn State. So I guess thank you to you all for setting that example for me, because I feel like I know what I'm gonna do in terms of being an alumni once I've graduated. So thank you.
Excellent. Mike McHugh, you have a question from New York City.
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for your leadership. It's really, really great to see students so involved and so passionate at Penn State about everything, and I really appreciate it. And thank you for coming on today. I'm the vice chair for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee of the Alumni Association, and a lot of our constituents and a lot of our members are all asking how can they get more involved with students while they're still at Penn State. So if there's any suggestions you have for how the alumni can get more involved with you and your group, I would really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I definitely think that reaching out is like one of the biggest things, and I had to learn that I had to reach out more because I admire many things from afar. So I see that Tykees Edgerson is on the call, and I found Ty like so amazingly interesting from afar. He helped to co-found a STEP team on campus at University Park. He was a transfer student. He started his own food business. I thought he was the coolest person from afar. And I had to kind of like look at him and see like where I could fit myself into his life beyond being his friend. So I guess my advice would be finding the points. I'll particularly say Black Caucus because that's what I best represent, but finding the points within Black Caucus that you can align yourself with most. And I always say the best thing about Black Caucus is that we are based on dialogue and communication. So our weekly Sankofa discussions, they're actually being done on a virtual platform. We have our last one today. But those weekly discussions are a really good way to bring to light an important topic for us to discuss with our general body and hopefully leave them with wanting to learn more and care for it more. So I had an alumni reach out to me, I believe 2 months ago, to have a Sankofa discussion on consent, but beyond going on learning about consent, but how it plays into our decisions and how it plays into our relationships. So he reached out to me for that, and then I brought it back to my board, and we were planning to have a really good discussion on consent and then tie him into the discussion. That way he can have an educational component with us and know that students will know that they can reach back out to him. Unfortunately, with COVID-19, we weren't able to have that discussion, but the layout of that is set for next year. So those weekly discussions are a really good way. And then just looking at student programming, I think is always a really good idea. So like our week currently for Black Caucus is Now More Than Ever week. So we do a week long of programming, not only to shed light on the village, but to push us forward on a theme every year. So us ingraining a theme into our week long of programming that aligns with your group that you represent would also be really good as well.
Fatima, one last question before we let you go. I know we can talk to you probably for the next couple hours. Your message is so compelling. If you want to connect with Fatima, she is on LinkedIn, so look her up there. She can probably would appreciate all the new contacts and networking opportunities that are out there. But as I look at the folks on this call, some of them aren't members of the Black alumni community, right? So what would your message to those of us who might consider ourselves as allies to that community? What is your message to those folks who want to be most helpful?
Allyship is definitely extremely important. And I think that we grow stronger in allyship as we go stronger with retaining members. Because allies push us to look at different perspectives, and they push us to look at things in a holistic manner. So it's very easy for me to understand I shouldn't say it's very easy. It's more easy for me to relate to a Black student for their experience, but it might not necessarily be as easy for me to relate to a white student. But when I have a white student approach me and try to learn about my experience, and I'll do the same for them beyond just looking at them, I think that's really crucial. So allyship is definitely important, and I would never deter anyone from becoming an ally of a community, because at the end of the day, allyship is strength, not only in numbers, but in thought.
That is great. Well, that is all the time that we have today on Coffee Hour. You have been a fantastic guest. I hope all those that have joined us have enjoyed getting to know Fatima and her story a little bit better, and getting to learn about the Student Black Caucus at Penn State a little bit better. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for all you do for the university, for the glory, and for the future. We are
Penn State.
Thank you.
Thank you.